This is where the story ended, at Estoril in Portugal. By the time the story reached here, it was a fairy tale. There were only two contenders for the World Championship, the new boy and the old hand. But the race for the great prize is really never that simple. At the end of the season, everyone knows everything. At the start of the season, nobody knows anything. And it started in Rio. Balestri of Fisa and Eccleston of Foker, chalk and cheese. Tombe, Piquet and Mansell, what event could bring such different men together? What event but Rio's pre-race beauty contest? There was a lot of learned comment from the Grand Prix circus about bottoming, fuel injection and the ground effect. As was appropriate, only 3 of them got as far as the victory dais, and the contest culminated in an orgasmic splurge of champagne, the other fuel on which Formula One runs. Then it was down to the serious stuff. The cars were roughly the same as the year before, except now they were nearly all turbos. Form was hard to predict. So was what would happen under the new fuel rules. Unlike the champagne, the petrol was rationed to 220 litres per car, per race, per haps, because the rules specified the size of the tank, so that if you could freeze the fuel to pack more of it in, good luck. Otherwise, it was a matter of electronic engine management, meaning the onboard computer, if you had one, told you how high you could crank up the boost without parking inadvertently. It was all part of the onward march of technological progress, which is exclusively devoted to making Grand Prix cars go a bit slower, so that the spectators can still see them. One of the spectators was Carlos Reutemann, a dropout. Still all the way in was world champion Nelson Piquet, quicker than anyone in the car, quicker than anything, Gordon Murray's Brabham BMW. But Renault's fuel cooling plant looked hard to beat. Either the temperature below zero or the price per cubic centimetre in francs. Practice, and Mansell showed how a Lotus could run rings around a McLaren. Eager on the grid, the Loti were cooled down with ice cubes. The McLarens kept their fuel cool with silver foil. Waiting for the green light, De Angelis's Lotus was on the pole. But when the green light went, Piquet stalled, Alboretto's Ferrari was away first with Warwick's Renault behind it, and Mansell in the other Lotus came booming down the outside. The new McLaren combo of Prost and Lauda had qualified only 4th and 6th, so it was a bit too soon yet for them to be up front in contention. But you couldn't take it away from Alboretto that he had started mighty well in his first race for the prancing horse. Since it was also Warwick's first drive for Renault, the 1984 season had started with a nice new look. Just behind Alboretto and Warwick were the 2 Loti, with Lauda making plans to get past them. His McLaren temporarily going better than Prost's. So they all came down the straight with the crowd madly cheering the only driver they cared about, Piquet, who was down at the back somewhere nearly last, although less nearly all the time. As Alboretto continued to cover himself with glory far ahead, Prost, in his first drive for McLaren, got faster. He went past Arnoux. Lauda caught up with Warwick but banged wheels with him going past, a contact fated to have large long-term consequences for Warwick. Alboretto's luck ran out when his front right brake overcooked, locked up and threw him spinning off the road. He kept revving and rejoined the race. Prost went past Tombe, whose high-tech radio link with the Renault pit had conked out, meaning that mission control couldn't tell him the secret of how to go as fast as he needed to without using up more gas than he'd got. Alboretto's brake was by now glowing like a waffle iron. All the other cars could stop and go. Alboretto stopped in the pits so that the heat could be taken out of the affected area. Piquet, keen to please the home crowd, who had eyes for no one else, kept going places until lap 31, when he parked in front of the grandstand so that they could cheer him continuously. Mansell was still thrusting along in 3rd place, but Prost, going ever faster, took it off him. Warwick had stopped for tyres, so Lauda was in the lead, which always looks like the most natural thing in the world until you remember how long he's been doing it. But Prost was still coming up. Finally, he came past even Warwick, so now it was McLaren's first and second, which was the world's first experience of what was to become a familiar phenomenon. Tom Bay arrived for new tyres in a beautiful slalom turn, for which the Renault Data Processing Centre was not prepared. Arnoux Ferrari blew a turbo. Prost came in for new tyres. It was a long stop, but not as long as Lauder's, who had come in just behind him. Lauder's onboard Bosch Motronics had packed up, some say because of misleading signals sent by a malfunctioning washing machine in downtown Rio. Lauder got out of the car. Warwick, now back in the lead on softer tyres, powered on. All the Renault computers were in agreement that nothing could possibly go wrong. Rosberg won a tussle with De Angelis for third spot, but something had gone wrong with Warwick's Renault. Long ago, when Lauder brushed wheels with him, the injured suspension had finally come adrift, and after spinning off, Warwick limped home saying some of the new French words he'd learned into his helmet radio. So Prost ran out the winner. And Tom Bay ran out of gas, a triumph of the new French rules over Renault's new French computers. Prost, justifiably pleased, said, "I can do it again, no hands."
I think I proved today that I was as competitive than last year with the Renault, and I think we proved today together with McLaren team and Michelin tire and the TAG Porsche engine that we are very, very competitive this year, and I hope to win the championship because I lost for 2 points last year, and I do a very, very good beginning of season, and I hope to continue in the same step.